I met my best friend Sarah and my husband when I was 11. I had just moved to a new country with my family, and my now sister-in-law introduced me to Sarah. Now that we're adults, we share some friends, but we each have different groups to do different things. Usually, I'm working in the office from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and I have a 30-minute break that I usually take to have my second breakfast. Sometimes I go to my husband's office, it's a 5-minute walk, or a cafe near my job. Sometimes I have to work out of my office or go to another city. Every now and then I mention to Sarah if I have to travel for work during the week in casual conversations. Last week I had to travel for work on Wednesday, but Tuesday night there was a red alert about the weather the next day, so my work engagement was canceled and I stayed home with my 2-year-old. My husband went out at 6 a.m. to make sure his business was closed and put up some flood protection. And by 7:30 a.m., he was back at home making breakfast. It didn't start raining until 1 p.m. At 3 p.m., Sarah sent a message asking if I was at home already because it was flooding where I was traveling, and I just texted back home safe. We literally didn't go out until Friday. Saturday, Sarah and I go to the same gym class. She told me we needed to talk in private, so we went to my car, and she told me, basically, on Wednesday I saw your husband with a woman, and they were making out, and your child was in the car. I was frozen for a bit, but then I remembered that I was working from home with my husband and my baby for 2 days. I realized she was lying, but I didn't understand anything. I asked 3 times if she was sure it was this week's Wednesday, and she confirmed it 3 times. I asked her about the time, and she said about 11 a.m. I asked if it was during the red alert, and she said yes. I asked her if she was 100% sure, and she launched into a whole description of my husband making out with a gorgeous blonde girl in his car in front of our child near his office during the red alert. So he was putting my son at risk and cheating in front of him. I told her my work engagement was suspended because of the red alert, and we were both home the whole time it was activated. She tried to say she got confused with the days, but she confirmed it 3 times. I told her to leave, and she left running. I went home and did the whole betrayed spouse house search. There was no hidden phone. I have all the passwords to every device in this house, not out of lack of trust. It's because I manage part of his business, and he's bad with passwords. I even looked for hidden emails, and the only thing he was hiding was his paranormal podcast he listens to sometimes. That night, I told my husband what was going on, and he denied ever cheating, and even worse, disrespecting his own son in that way. I believe him 100%. There wasn't a change in his behavior or routine. He gave up his phone right away, and I told him I already checked everything in our house, and he told me to check his car then. We decided to call Sarah together. She picked up on the 3rd call, and she was crying. I told her to just tell me why she lied. She swore she wasn't lying, but told me she got confused with Monday. I told her Monday our son was in daycare, and we had breakfast during my break. So at what time did my husband go to take our son out of daycare, go to pick up this girl to make out in front of my baby, and then back to the daycare for me to pick him up and then have breakfast with me? She cried more and told me she didn't know. So my husband told her to cut the nonsense if she had at least a bit of decency and tell us why she was lying. She said she was sorry and hung up and then had the audacity to block us. I told the friends we had in common with her, and everyone is mad and can't explain what happened to her. She is not picking up the phone but sent a message back saying she was sick. Some of them asked her why she was lying, and she blocked them. Someone even called her mom, and she is just as shocked. Nobody understands what's going on. I thought maybe it was a crush, but my husband never liked her that much, so he didn't pay attention to her. She isn't even added to his social media because he never liked her when Sarah was his sister's friend or when she became my friend too. They don't interact unless it is necessary to say she got a crush so big she thought it was worth it to try to break a family. I do know that sometimes she gossips a little too much, or sometimes she talks about things she shouldn't, but I never thought it would develop into something this big. I had this girl by my side for really hard moments. I had her back when she needed me. She was one of the first people I told about my wedding and pregnancy. I loved this girl since we were little. I just don't understand, and she is not talking to anyone. Now for an update. So I got the truth finally, and it was far more foolish than I thought. Sarah's mom told me to come to her house for a conversation with Sarah and to bring a friend as a buffer. I went for closure. She apologized a lot, but I literally had to interrogate her to give me reasons, and I finally got them. She lied because she was mad that I missed our girls' trip, 5 girls group, for the second time. Once because I had a 2-month-old baby, and this year because I had to work during August, and it was the only month everyone else was free. I traded my vacation for December plus extra days they owed me, so I will be out of the country from December to January 10th and miss her birthday in December and other winter activities in January. Her reasoning was that if I thought my husband cheated, she was sure I would leave, but he wouldn't let me take my son abroad for too long without him, so I would be forced to stay but would be able to travel during my husband's custody time. She was just being mean and selfish because of a trip that I missed and a birthday. She thought it would be okay to break my son's family so she could have all her friends for attention. I told her to never contact me again and to avoid me everywhere. My friends are aware to not invite me to things if she is going to be there, but everyone is mad at her, so she is the one not being invited. This is painful as hell. I would have been able to forgive and work on things if she was having mental health issues or drug problems. I actually sent her mother recommendations for mental health professionals during the week. Almost 20 years of friendship down the drain. I treat my closest friends like family because, apart from my husband's family, I only have my sister in this country. I make time for them, pay attention, and help them when I can. I thought she wanted the best for me as much as I wanted the best for her. But lesson learned, I guess. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. There is always a reason and a motivation to act. As we don't know her and your relationship, it's difficult to say, so the common imaginable answers fill that void. Maybe pathological jealousy or pathological lying, a mental breakdown, maybe a crush on your husband or on you, or even a cheating story, a controlling behavior at your expense, and an attempt to isolate you. Or she wants to set you up with someone she knows. Comment 2. Perhaps the feeling regarding your husband is mutual and she was trying to drive him away. Is she single? Did she go through a breakup or something along those lines recently? Sometimes when that happens to people, they try to make their friends single so they don't feel bad or jealous. It's awful, but it happens. You need to cut this person from your life. Now for the update. My husband and I are still trying to deal with what happened with Sarah. It's been a week, and every time I think about it, I'm just like, seriously? How could someone I've known for almost 20 years just throw everything away like that? My husband has been great though, trying to keep me focused on the good stuff we still have in our lives. He suggested we focus on our family, our little one, and the friends who have actually been supportive through this. So we decided to host a small dinner with a few close friends to cheer us up. Nothing too crazy, just some good food, drinks, and hopefully a lot of laughs. The guests included 2 couples we've been friends with since college. Honestly, it feels like we've known each other forever. Our kids have grown up together, so we were really hoping this would be a good distraction for all of us. Dinner was going well. The kids were playing. The adults were catching up and just enjoying the moment. Then one of my friends casually mentioned seeing Sarah at a local event last weekend. I could feel my stomach drop. I mean, we were just talking about good vibes and here we are back to the Sarah topic. But it got worse. My friend said Sarah was with a new guy, someone she didn't recognize. I was like, are you serious right now? But I kept my cool. I didn't want to ruin the evening. After they left that night, I just kept thinking about what my friend had said. A few days later, I got a call from another mutual friend, Lisa. She brought up Sarah and said that Sarah has been spreading rumors about my family and our finances. I mean, honestly, really? I was just stunned. How low can you go? I took a deep breath and talked it over with my husband. He suggested we confront Sarah about this together. I knew we needed to figure it out, so we decided to meet her for coffee and clear things up. The next day, we met at a local cafe, and right away, you could feel the tension. My husband and I tried to act normal, but I could tell Sarah was on edge. I started the conversation by directly asking her about the rumors. She initially played innocent, denying everything, but then she got all defensive. The more we talked, the more upset she got, and she started accusing me of abandoning her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I calmly explained that I cut ties with her because of the lies she told about my husband. It was like a switch flipped. She snapped and revealed that she had been seeing someone else, claiming it was to cope with my rejection. We left the cafe, and I just felt drained. A few days after that, I found out through a group chat that Sarah is seriously dating this new guy. Guess who? The same guy Lisa saw her with at that event. It's just wild how quickly things have escalated. Sarah started posting pictures online, looking all happy and in love. Our mutual friends expressed their concerns over how fast she moved on, and honestly, I felt the same way. A few weeks into this craziness, there was a birthday party for one of the kids. I was excited to go, but then Sarah showed up out of nowhere with her new boyfriend. Just my luck, right? I had to deal with this super awkward situation while Sarah was trying to act all chill. She even made a pointed comment about how she's finally free from past friendships. I just smiled and focused on my family. My husband and our friends were so supportive, making sure I felt comfortable and not alone. After that party, I started noticing some shifts in our friend group dynamics. Some friends were starting to distance themselves from Sarah, which was surprising. They cited her recent behavior as the reason, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. I received messages from friends expressing their disbelief at Sarah's actions. One friend even admitted they were worried about her new relationship and how fast it was moving. A month later, Sarah reached out to me. She wanted to meet up to clear the air. At this point, I was just like, whatever. We decided to meet in a public space because, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. Sarah tried to persuade me to reconnect. She mentioned her new boyfriend's support and how he thought we should work things out. I just felt so done with it all. The conversation ended with her leaving frustrated but more understanding of my stance. Mini update. After that meeting with Sarah, things have been pretty quiet on her end, which honestly feels like a relief. My husband and I have been focusing on our family and enjoying our time together. The kids are growing up so fast, and we've been making a lot of fun memories. Some friends have reached out to check on us, sharing their concerns about Sarah's relationship. It's been tough for many of our friends because they feel caught in the middle of everything. Some have chosen to support me and my family, while others still have a friendship with Sarah. It's just been a lot to navigate, but overall, I'm feeling okay. Am I the idiot for confronting my parents about their unfair will and feeling alienated by my family? This past weekend, I was house-sitting for my parents, 68-year-old male and 68-year-old female. I keep my hunting rifle in their safe since I live in the city. I haven't used it in a while, so I decided to zero it. While getting it out, I did some treasure hunting in the safe. At the time, I really didn't think I was snooping. The whole family has the combination to it. I just never looked before. It was mostly boring stuff like passports and jewelry, but there was an envelope with the logo of a law firm and in it, their will. As you might have guessed, I was to receive less than my siblings. I have an older sister, 38 years old, and an older brother, 36 years old. They were getting 40% each, while I got 20%. I read through the whole thing, thinking I was to get some other asset or something, but no. It was after everything was liquidated. I don't know why they would do this. The only thing I can think of is that my siblings are both married with children and I'm single and child-free. But that just feels so stupid. They don't know that I'm child-free by choice, and what if I had kids after they died? I doubt my siblings would give me that money retroactively. It makes even less sense since my brother has 3 kids and my sister only 1, yet they get the same amount. It's not like it's going to a trust for the grandkids either. It goes directly to us as lump sums. We have talked openly about inheritance before, like in family meetings, but no one ever said that some would get more or less. Just things like if someone was interested in the house or farm, or if they should sell it, etc. They have also been open with how much they have. They are both retired now, but have worked full-time jobs and been running a farm their entire lives. It's been a few years since I saw the numbers myself, but last time they told us it was $2.1 million. I don't live in the States, just seemed easiest to convert to. I'm well aware that 20% of that is a life-changing amount, so a small part of me feels greedy, but the rest of me just feels sad and angry. I haven't been able to get it out of my head. We never fight. We all meet on holidays, etc. I just can't think of anything. And no, I'm not an affair child. My mom's hobby is genealogy, and we all have profiles on Ancestry. Plus, I look just like my paternal grandfather. None of us siblings are rich. If I had to guess, my sister and her husband are probably in the best state financially, having good jobs and only one child. I'm probably the worst off right now since I just bought a house on a single income. Do I tell them what I saw? Do I just forget it and secretly hope that they change it before they die? My head is like a brick right now. I hate this. It's like I will lose whatever I do. What would you do? Any parents with adult kids out there that can see their side and justify it? To add, thanks all. I have a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, I just have to talk to them. No getting around this, I guess. Someone pointed out that there is no such thing as one will for two people. This is not their individual wills. I don't think they have those. They will inherit each other when the other dies, as per default as a married couple. This is more of what will happen to their resources once they both are gone. I'm sorry, I don't know how to describe it. We have a word for it, and Google wanted to translate it to will. Now for an update. I called them yesterday and explained everything I saw. Some of you guessed it. It was the adults they had based it upon, not the kids. My siblings' spouses are great people, and my parents love them as their own, so sure I can buy that. The kids were also a factor. I told them I found it a weird way to split it and asked what would happen if I got married. They told me that they will rewrite the will. What if I marry a person they don't like as much? No answer. What if I marry or have kids after they die? No answer. I asked if they had considered that my siblings' spouses would presumably inherit their own parents one day. No answer. Probably the most awkward conversation I've ever had with them. They asked me if I wanted them to rewrite the will, to do a 33% split instead. This question actually put me off. So in line with what many here told me, I said no, and that they are free to do whatever they wanted with their money. But I also said I feel disappointed, and what I really want is for them to want to change it. They texted today with an apology and that they will go over their options. I haven't had the energy to reply yet. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. My grandparents and millions. My grandfather passed away, and my grandmother rewrote the will. There was my mom and her sister. The sister, my uncle, and cousins got about 80% of the money and things. The other 10% went to other people. This left my family of 5 with 10%. One cousin got $80,000. I got $2,000. What the heck? I was the youngest. What grudge did she have against me? I wish I had the chance to ask her why I was such a disappointment to her. I never knew such a thing until she was gone. It is not the money. It is the not knowing. I do know that my grandfather told us that each grandchild would get the same amount when I was around 14. He promised that. So what changed? And that is why I would ask them directly, with just you and them in the room. I would start with, have I done something to upset you guys? I have information that you are not happy with me. I want to know what I did. I wish I could have that conversation with my grandmother. Comment 2. So on the one hand, the comments you're getting about not being entitled to anything are 100% true. Inheritance isn't a right automatically bestowed. But on the other hand, I think it's unfair for parents to do this to their children, give unequally between them, without sitting everyone down and telling them about it long before anyone has passed away. Stuff like this has a way of breeding real resentment among the siblings. And there's no way to reconcile it, since of course, the people who caused it are now dead. As for what to do here, I'd talk to your parents privately. Just explain to them how you came across the will and that you understand you're not entitled to an equal share or anything at all. But it did take you by surprise to see the difference between what you're getting versus your siblings, and see what they say. Do be prepared to be hurt by their answer, though. There's no real non-hurtful explanation for singling out one child to get so much less than the other two. Now, for the update. It's been a week since the awkward call with my parents about the will. I was just trying to process everything and hoping my parents would come up with a solution that didn't make me want to run away from my family. Then they invited me over for a family dinner, which I thought was a good idea at first, but I was kind of dreading it too. I knew we had to talk things through, but I wasn't ready for whatever else was going to happen. So I went over on the weekend, and honestly, I wished I hadn't. My younger sister Kate showed up first with her husband. She brought a homemade dessert that was a total show-off move, but I guess I couldn't blame her. I mean, I can't cook or bake for crap, even if I wanted to. We just sat around awkwardly, waiting for my parents to show up and get things started. Then my older brother Jake arrived with his wife Rachel and their baby. And let me tell you, the atmosphere was super uncomfortable. I mean, I love the baby, obviously, but it felt like we were all just pretending everything was fine. My dad tried to crack some jokes about parenting, which fell flat because we all knew why we were there. I just smiled and nodded, pretending to care about the baby's diapering problems. After some small talk that felt forced, my parents finally brought up the will again. They said they wanted to clear the air, which was a nice way of saying we all need to sit here and feel like crap together. My mom mentioned they might consult a financial advisor for advice, and I thought, oh great, more people will be dragged into this mess. Then things took a weird turn. Out of nowhere, Kate said it's only fair I get more since I'm still single. I was shocked and honestly felt kinda embarrassed. Like, thanks for trying to be on my side, but for real, don't make it more awkward. I could see Jake shooting her a look, like he was trying to shut her down before things got even messier. Rachel jumped in right after that, saying everyone deserves what they worked for. I wanted to scream. Like, really? You think I didn't work for anything? You're the one who married into the family, not the one who spent the last 20 years putting up with all this crap. But I didn't say anything because it was supposed to be a nice family dinner or whatever. The conversation shifted to their plans for a family trip next summer. They started discussing how it would be a bonding experience for everyone, including the kids. My dad even asked if I had any plans for the summer, trying to be inclusive. I mentioned I might take a weekend trip somewhere, but didn't elaborate, like what was the point. After dinner, we moved to the living room for dessert and coffee. My parents pulled me aside for a private chat, which I was kind of dreading. My dad started talking about how I needed to think about the future and family dynamics. I was just sitting there trying to act interested, but honestly feeling like I was in a bad family sitcom. Then Jake suggested a family vacation to celebrate his promotion, inviting everyone but me. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I could, but still. I was just done with the whole night and wanted to go home. So I said I had an early morning and decided to leave early. As I was walking out, I overheard Rachel telling Kate not to worry about the estate. I wanted to turn around and say something, but I just didn't have the energy. I got in my car and drove home, feeling even more confused and upset about everything that had happened. The next day, my parents texted, saying they were still working on the will changes. I didn't know if I should even respond. Like, what was the point? A few days later, Jake and Rachel announced they were buying a new house together. My parents congratulated them, and it felt like a slap in the face. I mean, what about me? The final straw came when I received a group text about family plans for the holiday. I noticed Jake and Rachel had already made arrangements without asking me. I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt so left out and honestly hurt. It's like they all forgot about me and my situation. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I just don't know how to deal with this anymore. It's affecting my relationship with my parents, and honestly, I'm just done. I've been avoiding my parents' texts and calls, and I know that's not the mature thing to do, but I just can't. Edit. I have been avoiding my parents for a week. I didn't know how to communicate my feelings without making things worse. I feel like they want me to just accept everything without question. Am I the idiot for demanding my cheating wife write a confession letter to her lover's wife and then watching it all fall apart? About 2 years ago, my wife decided to have a full-blown affair with her coworker. I actually had no clue until she slipped up and sent me a text meant for her ex-lover. It was something like, "He's going to be gone with the boys all weekend for a camping trip." She realized that she messed up, but I pretended not to receive the text. I had my dad take my boys camping so I could investigate. Anyway, I found her and her ex-lover at our house. I never confronted them. I just collected evidence the entire weekend. I tailed the ex-lover to find out where he stays. It turns out he has a whole family too. Monday morning, once my boys went to school, I confronted her with all the evidence. I was expecting her to put up a fight, but she just broke down and admitted to the whole affair. The affair lasted for 8 months, according to her. She begged me not to file for divorce. I still loved her and was devastated learning about the affair. She told me that she would do anything I wanted to keep our marriage. One of the main factors I decided to try and fix things was knowing that if we split, she would probably go back to her hometown, which is 2 states away. It would be nearly impossible to see my boys if that happened. I would have fought tooth and nail for full custody, but no lawyer could promise I'd win. After doing a lot of research online, I prepared my demands and list of restrictions for her. I made sure she fully understood that if she wanted to gain my trust back, she had to follow these rules. With that, I told her if she wanted a divorce, I was willing to go down that route too. I told her she had to give me a fully written confession letter with all the details of her relationship with her ex-lover. She had to give a copy of the letter to her ex-lover's wife and apologize to her for destroying their marriage and family as well. She would have to find a new place to work. As far as restrictions go, she has to have her location on at all times on her phone. A tracker is installed on her car. All passwords and bank account statements, we have separate bank accounts, have to be shared with me. If she goes out with her friends, she has to check in with me every 30 minutes via FaceTime. She's no longer able to see her best friend since she knew and supported the affair. She's not allowed to meet with anybody from work, outside of work. No intimacy until I'm ready to try again. Her main reason for cheating was because I wasn't in the physical shape I used to be in. I agreed and lost 35 pounds and took up boxing. Now for the current situation. My wife no longer wants to check in with me when she's out with her friends. She wants to hang out or go to lunch with coworkers because she's lonely at work. Also, she wants to have intimacy with me. We haven't had intimacy since the affair. I just started to be able to kiss her. She wants to try for another baby, but I don't think I'm ready. The other night, she had her hair done and put on lingerie and heels for me, but for some reason, I couldn't. She went to the bathroom to cry. I felt like garbage for ruining this beautiful girl, my wife. The sound of her crying is still messing with my head. Her best friend is getting married, and she wants to attend the bachelorette party in a few weeks in Las Vegas. I'm not sure what to do. I don't want my wife's life to be completely miserable. Then again, this is the friend that knew about the affair and supported it. My worry is if I keep these restrictions on my wife, she's going to regret her decision to stay. It's not like she's asking me to remove them. She asked me to consider it. As for the bachelorette party, she just told me about it. She never asked to go, but I know what she meant by telling me about it. I just want our marriage to go back to where we were. Enforcing all this is so tiring at the same time. I'm tempted to give her entire freedom back, but there will always be something in the back of my mind telling me not to trust her. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. What's the point of all this? Are either of you actually happy? Are you ever going to be? In my opinion, the list of rules is ridiculous and no way for either of you to live. If you are only staying together for the children, you need to figure something else out. Don't waste your life. Comment 2. Your relationship can never be what it once was, and you are just prolonging the inevitable. Neither of you can continue to live like this. I wish you the best of luck, my friend, and a happy future. Now for the update, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but here we are. So a week after my last update, my wife, Sarah, came home from a night out with her friends. She was clearly upset about something. She went straight to the kitchen and tossed her phone onto the counter, and I noticed it buzzing with a message from the other guy. Of course, she quickly snatched it up before I could see anything. But come on. I noticed the notification was from a group chat titled Vegas Crew. Yeah, that couldn't be good. During breakfast the next morning, the kids mentioned overhearing Sarah talking about the bachelorette party while they were at their grandparents' house the previous weekend. The kids were all like, "Mommy was laughing about past Vegas trips with her friends." I mean, they were laughing, but I wasn't. It made me feel really uneasy about all of this. So I decided to have a little chat with Sarah about her plans for this bachelorette party. Just asking for some details. She claimed it was just a fun trip, and she insisted she would be on her best behavior. I wanted to believe her, but I was still skeptical. I just didn't want to press her further and create more conflict. That wasn't what we needed. A few days later, my mom invited the family over for Easter dinner, and of course, Sarah was there. During dinner, Sarah randomly brought up wanting another baby. I mean, really? It made me so uncomfortable. My mom, on the other hand, was all excited, asking when they would announce it, completely missing the fact that I was about to lose it. After dinner, while cleaning up, I found a crumpled receipt for a hotel stay in Las Vegas under the table. You can imagine my heart racing at that point. The receipt was dated for the weekend of the bachelorette party, so I confronted Sarah about it. She claimed she booked it for the group, but hadn't planned on staying there herself. Yeah, right? I decided to dig a little deeper and check the hotel's website. I found out they offer special rates for bachelorette parties. So I called the hotel under a fake name to ask about the reservation. The receptionist confirmed Sarah had booked a room for the entire weekend. At that point, I was freaking out. I shared my findings with a close family friend who had been supportive throughout all of this. They suggested I confront Sarah again, but this time with undeniable evidence. So I set a plan in motion for the night before the bachelorette party. I arranged for a family outing at a trampoline park, making sure the kids would be exhausted and in bed early. After the kids went to sleep, I confronted Sarah about the hotel reservation again. She got all defensive, insisting it was just a fun getaway with her friends. So I told her I knew about the hotel stay, and she was just speechless. Instead of escalating the argument, I calmly suggested we review the terms of our agreement. I pointed out that she had broken the rules we had established regarding trust. Then things really went downhill. This discussion turned into a heated debate about our marriage and what betrayal truly meant. As the argument reached a peak, Sarah stormed out, claiming she needed space. Yeah, right. Later that night, I sent a message to the other man's wife, revealing Sarah's plans. I explained the situation directly, letting her know about the hotel reservation and the upcoming trip. The next morning, the other man's wife responded, thanking me for the info. Sarah returned home, and let me tell you, the atmosphere was super tense. I was like, here we go, waiting for her reaction. I got a text from the other man's wife asking to meet for coffee to discuss everything in person. I agreed, knowing this could lead to even more fallout. At the coffee shop, the other man's wife revealed she had been suspicious of her husband's late nights and work trips. We exchanged stories about our partners, realizing the affair had deeper roots than either of us had imagined. It was honestly pretty shocking to hear some of the stuff she had to say about her husband. The other man's wife suggested we confront our spouses together, and I found the idea pretty compelling. I mean, if we were going to do this, we might as well do it together, right? I returned home, prepared for the confrontation. Sarah and I sat down for a serious talk, intending to discuss the hotel stay, the impending fallout, and our future. We set the plan. We would meet the other couple together, ensuring accountability for their actions. Edit. The confrontation happened as planned. My wife admitted the affair was ongoing. The other guy's wife filed for divorce. I'm heartbroken. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.